Will Polkadot outperform in 2022? To better answer this question, we have to look at what they did last year and what they'll do this year as well. So that's exactly what we're going to do today. Just strap in, my friend, and let's roll the intro. To be honest, I follow Ethereum and Solana most closely. I've been a bit behind on the latest in Polkadot land, but I do think Polkadot is a high quality project with a ton of potential. And many of you guys probably hold their token too. That's why I wanted to make this video, to give me an opportunity to get caught up to speed and share with you what I found as well. But of course, my understanding will never be as deep as someone who's been following them all along. So if that's you and you think I got something wrong, then please comment down below so we can all take a look. Alright, so let's do this. We'll start with what they accomplished in 2021, then we'll turn to what's coming up in 2022, and finally I'll share my own hot take of whether or not DOT will outperform. But first, a quick shout out to our video sponsors, Rabbit. If you care about privacy at all, this could be perfect for you. Rabbit lets you create non-custodial Bitcoin wallets in less than a minute. No need to give them your email, phone number, or any form of KYC. They're completely focused on privacy by setting up shop in Switzerland and making their code open source. It's also your keys and your coins, so you don't need to worry about any exchanges getting hacked. Finally, you can use them without running your own Bitcoin node, which can be quite complicated and time-consuming. So to recap, Rabbit is user-friendly, privacy-preserving, and non-custodial. If that sounds up your alley, then go check them out at rabbit.io or use my link down below. Alright, so in 2021, Polkadot was mainly focused on rolling out their parachains. Because remember, their architecture looks like this, where they have one central relay chain and a bunch of individual blockchains called parachains that connect to the main one. Before they could launch those, they had to first complete their sharding architecture and upgrade their live chain to support it. They accomplished that pretty seamlessly and were able to kick off their auctions and crowd loans for their first 5 parachain slots. Those auctions were wrapped up by mid-December, and the winners were Moonbeam, Akala, Parallel Finance, Astar, and Clover Finance. Soon after they won their slots, they were onboarded and started producing their own blocks. Now, the auctions for slots 6 through 11 have already kicked off, and number 6 was just won on December 30th by Efinity, the NFT project associated with Engine. Those were the biggest 2021 highlights that I noticed, but now let's shift our focus to what's next in 2022. And there's 4 specific areas I want to zoom in on. First, of course, is the continuation of parachain auctions and crowd loans. Remember, they're starting out with 100 parachain slots. Unless anything unexpected happens, those auctions should continue throughout the year. And that means more and more DOT will be locked up as well, since the winner of a parachain slot has to lock up tokens for the duration of their lease. This dynamic should help increase Polkadot's staking rate, which is only at 53% right now. Pretty low considering how it used to be over 70% earlier in the year. The second thing to look out for is the tidal wave of dApps coming to Polkadot. This will come through their Moonbeam parachain, which essentially brings Ethereum's capabilities to Polkadot. It supports the Ethereum virtual machine, so that makes it easy for developers to port existing dApps over, like we've seen them do in Avalanche, BSC, and Phantom. Moonriver, which is Moonbeam's sister network on Kusama, already has a slew of dApps that are live. I expect some of those, as well as new ones, to get deployed on Moonbeam itself throughout the year. The third area worth zooming into has everything to do with NFTs. But instead of digital art, I'm talking about infrastructure projects that aim to improve the NFT experience across the whole Polkadot ecosystem. Like Statement, for example. This is a common goods parachain that's tailor-made for deploying tokens, whether that be NFTs or stablecoins, whatever. It's a super basic chain, but it will have around 1/10 the fees of the main relay chain. So that's amazing for anyone who wants to mint NFTs. Then there's the Efinity parachain, which is a cross-chain NFT highway built by the Engine team. Efinity aims to support NFTs of all different standards and from all different chains. And you can use them to move NFTs around the metaverse in a super fast, cheap, and seamless manner. And finally, there's the Unique Network, which is a project that will enable advanced features for NFTs. I'm talking subscription models, the ability to rent NFTs, or even NFTs that own other NFTs. All three of these projects should make great progress in 2022, so it's definitely something to keep an eye on. Last but not least, the fourth area to focus on would be their metaverse activities. The biggest one here would be BitCountry, a platform which lets any community spin up their own metaverse, where everyone can play games with each other, own assets, etc. BitCountry's Pioneer network already won a parachain slot on Kusama, and their Continuum network will go for a parachain slot on Polkadot in the future. This is still very early stages, but I looked at their demo, and it definitely reminds me of Decentraland in many ways. Anyways, it's a bygone conclusion that the metaverse is going to be a huge part of crypto. So what Polkadot has to offer in this area is going to be important to track. Alrighty, so with all of that in mind, it's time for our $1 million question. AKA, do I think DOT will outperform in 2022? Well, that depends. Outperform what? Ethereum? I mean, if we look at this chart of the Polkadot versus Ethereum ratio over all time, it's near all-time lows right now, which means that unless you got in during pre-sale, it would have just been more profitable to hold ETH instead of ever buying DOT. The chart kind of looks like an oscillator, but if it keeps on dropping, then it will lose that characteristic, which could be RIP for DOT holders. If we're talking about whether or not DOT will outperform ETH, I'm leaning towards no, especially because of two big concerns that I have. First is their community engagement and passion is quite low compared to other crypto projects. I mean, just go take a look at their Reddit engagement or go look at their social media stats on Lunar Crush. They're both below average, and I rarely hear any buzz about Polkadot on crypto Twitter either. Is this because they didn't have parachains until recently? Maybe, but then again, the Cardano community is so loud and passionate, even though they don't have anything launched either. In a crypto world where attention is king, I'm worried that Polkadot's lack of retail interest will keep their token from outperforming. My second concern has to do with their tokenomics. When I posted the DOT versus ETH ratio chart to one of my communities, someone wrote, "That's to be expected when you plot a deflationary token against one with super high inflation." Then I looked for Polkadot's inflation rate and discovered that it's currently around 8 to 10% a year, which is pretty darn high. Whereas Ethereum's burn plus its upcoming merge may make it net deflationary in 2022. Which is yet another factor that's going to make it harder for DOT to outperform ETH. But on the other hand, Polkadot does have some amazing things going for it, like world-class technology. They did launch, quote, the first heterogeneously sharded system in the world, after all. They also have great leadership being led by Dr. Gavin Wood, who everyone respects. And finally, they have a wave of adoption on the horizon now that their parachains are live and they're ready for dApps. So these counterpoints mean that I could definitely be wrong and DOT may end up outperforming after all. I guess we'll have to wait and see. What do you think though? Do you think DOT can outperform in 2022, both in general and versus ETH? Write us your verdict below. Also watch this video if you're curious about why I love Ethereum so much. Or watch this one if you want to understand the massive impact of the burn on ETH's price. I'll see you next time and cheers.